So welcome to block 2. Now block 2 is going to be about specific preparation, okay, and the landmarks are going to become a chest over bar pull-up, okay, so we're pulling just over the bar as the video will show you, it's not just here, just over the bar, or obviously chest over ring if you're performing the ring muscle up, if that's the path you've gone down with the old false grip. That's the first landmark, and the second one is 5 box jumping or just regular jumping if you're on the rings, ring muscle ups, which again there's a video for. So it's 5 reps over bar or over rings, and then 5 reps of the jumping muscle ups as well. Okay, so essentially the aim here is to start to build that power specific to the pull of a muscle up. So it's not a pull up, it's a pull around, okay, around the bar, around the ring. So we're starting to learn that pattern, learn that timing of the pull, okay, learn about pulling around the apparatus that we're on. And we're also starting to get used to that catch position. So instead of just performing dips, we're actually getting used to coming over the bar or rings, catching ourselves in that position, being stable there, and then obviously being able to press out. Okay, so it becomes specific preparation because now we're starting to be more specific to the actual muscle up itself. So if you're performing the chest over bar or chest over ring pulls, you may need to start with a little bit of elastic resistance, so an elastic band. If you're on the rings, it becomes quite difficult. The best thing to do is probably to loop the band either around the ring themselves and then slide it underneath your bum. Or you can loop it around whatever the rings are attached to if it's not that high, and then you can sit in the band, okay? But if you're doing it that way, either of them ways, you don't want much resistance. We're talking like a really thin yellow band or like a red band, so you know, around no more than 10 kilos for something like that. If you do it on the bar, it's a little bit more straightforward. You can just loop the band straight over the bar. But for most of you, if you've already performed that 40%, which you should have done before you're moving into this block 2, 40% weighted pull-up, then for most of you it should be starting out with probably like a black band or potentially a red if you can. But don't use a band if you don't need to. You know, they're only there if you need to have them, just to start to get you to feel that over the bar movement. And the analogy that I'll give for most people is that like you're holding a baby bird. So imagine a baby bird's fallen out of a nest and you're trying to pick it up and put it back into its nest or whatever you're doing with it, looking after it. You'd hold it firm, like you wouldn't want to drop it or let it go, but you would also be, you know, you wouldn't be trying to squish it, you wouldn't be trying to crush it. So if you imagine you're holding that baby bird, you're like this on the bar, okay, and that way, as you come to move around the bar, the wrist will naturally, so as you start to shift over and you get that over sensation, the wrist will naturally start to turn over the bar. So many people I'll see pull high and start to come over, but the wrist's left behind because they're trying to grip too tight. So that's quite a good analogy there. And obviously if you're using the rings, you're going to be in that false grip. So by the time you get there, you're starting to transition that elbow on top. The wrist's already there. The elbow's just got to follow where the wrist is. So it's a lot more straightforward if you've got that solid false grip. So yeah, it's a good phase. It'll take a little bit of learning to get the pull around the bar and get that timing of as you're swinging back, pulling around. For the rings, again, it's a bit more straightforward, but we've got to start making sure that we're not just getting to the bar, chest to the bar, we're thinking about moving over. So that elbow, you'll see it on the videos if you record them, elbow starting to come over, you know, we're starting to transition now into a push, get that transition down, and then obviously the muscle up starts to become closer and closer. And then obviously with the box muscle ups or jumping muscle ups, we're just trying to get really comfortable and familiar with that catch position, feel good there, feel stable there, and as we feel more competent, we can obviously reduce the height. Increase the height in which we're jumping from. So for example, you know, you'd have a smaller box if you're doing it on the bar, or you'd move the rings higher up if you're doing it on the rings, and that way you can't get as much push with your legs, so you're going to be using more of that pull and relying more on that stable catch position than you are on the sort of power up from your legs. Awesome guys, make sure you're hitting them landmarks, so 5 chest over bar or ring pull-ups and 5 jumping muscle ups before you move on to block 3, and enjoy.